From early childhood, my friends were really my chosen family. And interestingly, a lot of my friends were boys as well. And where I grew up and lived for the first 10 years of my life, there were kids in the yard, just kind of where I lived, like in the block of flats. There was multiple blocks of flats and there were just kids everywhere. And I grew up with, kids just throwing stones at your window to call you outside to play, and friends turning up at your door randomly saying, "Oh, look how many chocolates and sweets I've got. Come out, let's eat it all." And just hearing kids, my friends, like play outside, like throw a ball or something, and just running out to the sound of that, and joining in. And friendship was easy. It was not something I had to think about. It was not something that was a strain. You just came out and played. And sometimes you'd go to each other's houses and celebrate birthdays and just have fun. And I have a sister as well, which helped, I think, with just bonding with kids slightly above my age as well. And I was very sociable all my life, and in some ways I still am, but my life has changed a lot in the last few years. I would say basically since uni, since the end of uni, with certain periods of when it was easier. And I think it's obviously it's a common experience. When you grow up, you become an adult, you go to work, you then make friendships at work, and if you maybe are a part of like some kind of a sports club or sports activity, then you make friends in that way. But if you don't do either of those things, if you don't have an employment where you go to work and you see people and you're kind of forced into the social situation where you make friends, and you don't have a sports community or like a hobby community like that where you like go somewhere and you meet people, you end up alone. And the friends that I do have, they are either, well, they're all far away to start with physically. None of them live near me. And the friends that, I do have, a lot of them are, I know them a lot of them I know through therapy work. And so inevitably a lot of our conversation, which I love, a lot of our conversation does go towards therapy talk. And I just feel like I just want friends. I just want fun conversation. I want to do fun stuff. I want to go out on hikes and play silly football games. Like the last time I did that, I lived in Edinburgh, and again, people that I knew from work there, they just like went out onto a football field and we just played some football, like, and I was what, like 25. at the time, 24, 25, and I freaking loved it. And like when I look around where I live now, and I know it really doesn't help where I live, because there's just nothing here, basically. Like and I don't know if that's the case, maybe almost everywhere, but like I was thinking, oh, it will be fun to do some kind of like team sport, maybe. I wonder if there's any like casual goer places you can play sport, and there's nothing. Either it's for kids or it's for serious adults, like you're properly getting into sport now. There's no spaces for adults to just have fucking fun. Not fucking fun, but you know, just to be like kids, to just play, to just hang out, to not make it sexual, actually, as well. Like I don't have experience of, I've heard of this app relatively recently, Bumble for Friends or something like that. I haven't used it myself, but my mom was like, oh, I need to practice my English, I don't know how to do it. So I was like, well, I heard of this app where you just go and like you just talk to people like as friends, and you maybe even like if they're nearby you meet up. And she signed up, and she said like first hour she got bombarded by men. And it was pretty obvious that they didn't want friendship. So it's like, it's hard. And for someone like me, who, as I said, grew up with my friends being my chosen family and feeling really safe around my friends, I'm like right down the middle in terms of being an introvert or an extrovert. Like I'm right bang in the middle. I need as much time socially as I need antisocially as I need on my own to feel happy. And because I now work for myself, the only people I interact with through work are predominantly my clients. And even when I like with my like colleagues slash friends, sometimes it feels like it doesn't feel natural to talk to them about just normal stuff. And I wish it was. And then the friends that are not in therapy, I almost feel like I don't even know how to talk to them anymore, because I feel like all I talk about is therapy. And and it just feels like, I don't know, is that and I'm genuinely not trying to be like um what's the word? I forgot the word. Offensive, but I feel like maybe that's how autistic people feel. Like I feel like I don't have social skills anymore, and it feels awfully wrong because of where I come from, because of how I used to live, and how outgoing I was, and how much I loved spending time with friends, all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds and cultures. And I don't know how to not even go back there, but how do I get that again in my life? And part of the issue, I feel, has become like this feeling of seclusion that I feel in myself, as in like I recognize that to have deep friendships, to have friendships where you're like hanging out every day, first of all, you need to be a part of a community where you live. And I don't really want to be where I am. Like, I don't want to live here. And I know we're not going to live here for a long time. So it's almost like I don't really even want to start friendships here. And it didn't help that I have been a little bit like more nomadic, if you like, the last few, like, since I left uni. I moved back to London, then I moved to Edinburgh, then I moved back down here, and now I'm gonna move somewhere else again. That doesn't help for sure. Um, but what I recognize is that, if I want to have friendships, I'm going to need to like be vulnerable. And it sounds ridiculous when I say it. It's like, obviously, but maybe it's not obvious. Maybe I feel like there's a lot of people who just have like shallow friends, and I'm not judging. I mean, like, I'd also love to have a few shallow friends. Like, I just want to have people to just hang out with for just the sake of hanging out, and just doing stuff, because it's more fun to do stuff with other people sometimes. Not always. Like, as I said, I'm half an introvert. Like, I love doing stuff by myself. I do. But my social battery just doesn't get charged at all. And I feel like I'm losing touch with just reality sometimes because of that. I feel like I'm not part of a real world, especially because I am often on my phone, scrolling, being a part of the internet. And internet is just like so far from reality. And it feels like when you spend most of your time on the internet, like, it feels like that's the real life, but it's not. It's really not. And when you're hit with the actual reality, you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to interact with this anymore. Because all I've been interacting with has been Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and what? It's weird. And what's also weird is, like, I do see these like posts and people share their story online about like wanting to have friends. Like, I saw this post the other day, like, or the other week, like, guy saying, why do we not just hang out anymore? Like, if he said, if somebody invited me to just sit next to them whilst they're building IKEA furniture, or whilst they're just running errands, I'd be so happy to do that. We just don't do that anymore. And nobody has time anymore for each other. We have like lost community entirely. The whole like online community stuff is, it's not a replacement of any kind. Like, if you're super lonely and super antisocial, you have a lot of social anxiety, that can help as a first step, but it's not a replacement for real humans, for real nervous systems around you co-regulating with you. Like, it's not a replacement at all. And you can't like experience life online. You can't go on a hike online. You can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't go snowboarding online. And I just want to have friends to have fun with. Is it really that much to ask? I don't know. And then like you just start to, because you get out of touch with reality, and you almost like, you just don't practice social interaction. You then, like, when it happens even a little bit, you feel awkward about it. And when I experienced that multiple times in the recent years, when I'm like, it's almost like I've been living in a cave, and suddenly I come out and like there's people, and I'm like, whoa, this is new. And when I interact with them, I actually feel like I'm developing social anxiety, which I've never had in my life. Well, I did have in some points in my life, but it's still like not a common experience to my body. And when I feel it, I start to question, as I said, like my sanity, and also like, can I even do this anymore? And just feeling so awkward and out of place, and like I'm supposed to do a little bit, at least a little bit of small talk, and I don't know how to do that, but I also don't even want to be really vulnerable. So what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, Um, I don't know why I'm sharing this. I feel like part of me is like wants to have people comment to be like, "Hey, I'm the same. So do you want to hang out?" Like, part of me just wants people to really like connect with this, to sh- just shout out. Like, is that right? Is that the right phrase? Shout out? What? That doesn't sound right. What? Um, is that right? Shout out? Like, yeah, it doesn't sound right when I say it out loud. Um, leave a comment. Just message me on Instagram, whatever. Like, I'd like to make friends with just normal people, boys, girls. Let's just like go on a fun trip or something. I don't know. Also, I don't want a fun trip to be like, let's get absolutely smashed. Like, not interested in alcohol in that capacity at all. Um, so if that's your idea of fun, that's not really for me. That's not what I mean at all. Um, I want like let's build a campfire and sit around that and play some music and tell stories and just have a laugh and cook some food and look at the stars and just sit in silence because we can, and make funny noises and play some games and go on a hike the next morning and maybe dip in the coldest river and maybe like climb some rocks and trees and like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you know what I mean, hit me up. Because that's what I really fucking crave, man. I miss friends. I really fucking miss friends.